Happy Hunter Green Day to all who celebrate. Hello and welcome to the Riverfront Reds Show, where I will spend the next hour telling Skylar Wuebker what it's like to get older.
Boy, my son registered him for preschool. I feel older by the day.
Yeah. So I went to my son's soccer scrimmage the other night, and I take pictures. So I go down on the field and take the pictures. And in warm-ups, some of the balls were getting over the goal and down across the track. So I went over and started kicking them over. Never felt any ill effects. And then I go take the pictures. Hours later, a little pain in the back of my knee comes. And the only thing I can associate it with is kicking these balls. I just kick
Gotta warm up.
Yeah, apparently so. And so now it's settled in just below the knee, in the back of the knee. It's almost like a Charlie horse that won't go away. But no, we are good. Seth Shaner here with Skylar Wuebker, ready to talk about your Cincinnati Reds. And what a day to do it. We're recording on Wednesday, August 13th, after Hunter Green made his triumphant return. I think they said June 3rd was his last start in a Cincinnati Reds uniform. And how about that, Skylar? The Reds, we kind of get on them for only kind of seemingly treading water all the time. But you know what? They did pretty well without their ace over these last couple months.
Yeah, they've done so well that you kind of forgot Hunter Green was on the team. Everybody stepped up. Abbott he was so close to a second. Maddox, Nick Martinez I said it on Late Night Reds this last week, but he might be the most underrated guy on this team. The way he's able to swing back and forth between the starting rotation and the bullpen. Lodolo has looked like Lodolo again. And then even Brady Singer this series was awesome. I mean, these guys up and down are awesome. And that's not including a Chase Burns, Rhett Lauder, who are still kind of middling their ways into the rotation.
Well, and Brady Singer, we've said all along, if he's your fifth starter, I mean, you're going to get some clunkers. I mean, I was talking to my son about it, like, Nick Martinez and to a greater extent Brady Singer have had a few starts where we wonder about them. You kind of, I remember, wondered about Martinez back in April, but it feels like, especially with Singer more recently, but the one clunker that Martinez had too, where they go fewer innings, it's almost like that re-energizes them because they go 2 or 3 innings in a start, and then the next time out they just dominate. And then Singer's done that 2 or 3 starts out of the last 4, and I'm really happy with the way things are going. Certainly, as we talk about the game today, Hunter Green comes back, goes 6 innings. He lowered his ERA to 2.47, and he only gave up 3 hits, had 6 strikeouts and 0 walks. I know he's been in rehab assignments this time around because remember last time he came back and really didn't take any rehab starts, and he looked a little bit rusty, I guess I would say, in those 2 or 3 starts that he had before re-injuring himself. And this time around, though, rehab starts finished. He comes out there with 0 walks over 6 innings. Skylar, that's getting it done.
And look, it's not like it was the Rockies, the Pirates, the White Sox. It's against a very good Phillies team that we've seen up and down that lineup can draw their walks, get hits, get home runs, big swingers in that lineup. So, I mean, just so impressive. And if this is the Hunter Green that we're getting back, look out because the Reds are going to be in the playoffs.
Well, and so, the events of the day for me took me from I was able to watch the first couple innings on television, and then we were on the road and listening to the broadcast on the radio, and I think it was about the 3rd inning, second full time through maybe the lineup, and all of a sudden Hunter throws a split finger, and even Tommy Thrall noticed it, and Cowboy chimes in. He's like, that's the first split finger he's thrown, all night. And then he lived on that almost the rest of the start, and he's getting Schwarber. And I liked what the Cowboy, Jeff Brantley, had to say about it. He said, if you can get a guy thinking in the back of his head about an 89-mile-an-hour split finger that's going to dive, he cannot sit on that 100-mile-an-hour fastball. And he struck out Schwarber with a 101 there, and he was looking. So he obviously wasn't looking for that fastball. Just a great return for Hunter Green. It sets up a lot of things, especially if they can get Nick Lodolo back on turn from the injured list stint. It could set a possibility of a Nick Martinez return to the bullpen. And then, of course, Chase Burns with his innings limit. I think it really sets up, if you get Lodolo back, you set him up to be able to go into that bullpen. And think about that for a little bit. And I think what we need to do, though, is admit that not everybody's Nick Martinez. So I heard some suggestions out there, and maybe even in the Slack, I forget where I saw this, of wondering, hey, maybe they should just put Brady Singer in the bullpen, or put, we need to be careful, because guys that are used to only being starters for a long time, like a Brady Singer, that idea of being able to get ready quickly is kind of tough. And I think one of the best examples of that, and he's even younger than Brady Singer, is Graham Ashcraft.
Yeah.
Because I love Graham. He's had his good moments this year, but we thought maybe when he got into that bullpen, he would just take it over and start dominating. And he's had his hiccups learning to be a reliever, and Terry Francona's talked about that. So I think Chase Burns out of necessity and the fact that he throws so hard. And I think Nick Martinez and Lytle as well, if he had to, could go into the bullpen because he's done it before. I guess, what are your thoughts on that and kind of going forward, especially if you can get Lodolo back?
I think they're definitely going to put Burns in probably that middle inning, the low leverage. They're not going to put him out there with bases loaded, 1 out. They're putting him out there. Our guy gave us 5. Can you get us 6 and 7? Just because the innings limit, he's pitching too well to send down. Like, you're not going to shut him down for the year in the midst of this playoff run because he's playing so well. So I think it will be Burns, but I agree with you in the sense that it takes a special person to be able to swing to the bullpen and starting rotation. That's why Nick Martinez got paid like he did, is because it takes a special person to do that. Not everybody's able to do that. The last person I can remember from a Reds uniform that was able to do that was Michael Lorenzen.
Yeah. Well, and I guess the Reds have never been the franchise that looks at it the way that the Cardinals of old did, as far as I just pulled it up myself. Adam Wainwright in 2006, 61 relief appearances. Wow. Adam Wainwright, you don't think of him as a reliever, but he was one of the main reasons they won that World Series, because they rode him not just in early, middle innings. They rode him in high leverage situations into the postseason. And so you could see that happen, where he could end up, Chase Burns, being, even if there is a playoffs, I mean, he could be that 7th inning guy. Or a lot of times the managers have a quicker hook in the playoffs. So then you could see that, high leverage 4th inning, or maybe, somebody just didn't have it that day and they gave up 2 runs early, and it's your job just to hold it. I could see him also go 2 innings here or there, because they're not gonna ask Chase Burns to pitch back-to-back days unless it's just so crucial. So you maybe let him air it out for 2 innings, here or there, once a week, twice a week.
And the other part or question about it is, outside of Nick Lodolo coming back, you don't really have anybody else ready to pitch in the major league level yet. I mean, we've seen Chase Petty not quite ready. We've seen Connor Phillips here not quite ready. A lot of the guys, Lyon Richardson, kind of, but not quite ready. Chase Burns is ready. So you don't really have any other guys that you can move up and down, and Chase Burns is ready right now.
Absolutely. And I think Littell and Martinez, definitely, they've already said, hey, Martinez, you went to the bullpen, but Lodolo's blister certainly caused that. And Martinez came in and pitched the day he got hurt, and they still won the game. So his value, I tried not to overreact to the fact when they gave him the qualifying offer and everybody just assumed they didn't think he'd accept it, and then he did, and people freaked out by that $21 million. He's more than earned it. $21 million. He's more than earned it on the mound because of his versatility. and he's more than earned it as kind of being part of this team. And I think as far as, especially if you switch, if you put a like divider between pitching staff and everyday players or position players, I think he's been a pivotal guy. He's a leader in that staff, and he is. I know you guys were surprised, but I was listening the other night when you and Ben were talking. I knew he just turned 35, and I was like, no, he's not that young, guys. I don't know how much he's making next year. Like, he might not get what people think he could based on how well he's pitched this year.
Yeah, I mean, depends on what he wants. Is he trying to get every dollar that he can, or is he looking for longevity? Kind of one of those decisions you got to make as a 35-year-old hitting the free agency. But if he wants to come back with the Reds, and we've heard a lot of former players that were traded away or not offered to come back, they were like, man, we miss that team, that town. So, maybe he takes a discount. We'll see, but I totally love having this guy on this team.
Yeah, he's great. I got to be at the game where he almost threw a no-hitter too, so that was fun. Let's talk about Noelvi Marte a little bit. Yeah. Noelvi Marte in Wednesday's game, 2 for 4. He got the Little League home run. He had a pair of RBI, scored the run himself when he scampered home on a throwing error back to third. This guy here is hitting .290 for the season, OPS of 831. His his last 7 games he's hitting 400 with a 400 on base, so he's not walking. In fact, his last 15 games he's hitting 304 with a 304 on base, so he's definitely not walking, but his slugging percentage is up there really nicely. I guess overall, I think Tito took him out of games defensively a lot at third base, and I don't mind if people question Tito on that. I wondered about it myself. I think I don't not put a premium on defense, but I lived through Bob Boone pinch running for Sean Casey in the 7th inning of games, only to have Casey's spot in the order come up with guys on base later when you needed runs. Yep. So I tend to think if you should just leave him in there. I also believe now, Skylar, we've got enough evidence of him in right field that it weighed on him at the plate that he might get pulled from a game. And I think now he knows he's out there and he's going to play.
And now rightfully so.
Yeah, rightfully so. He's doing great. He had one botched ball the other night, but overall he's doing great. He threw a guy out at the plate the other day. That was exciting.
Yeah, he's got 2 outfield assists, throwing guys out at home, and he's got a rocket out there. So I'm totally fine putting him in right field. I do agree with, Chad Dotson's put it on Twitter, and we've said it on Late Night Reds. I hate that they're doing it in a playoff push.
Yeah.
That part I don't like. But the broadcast, when they made that announcement and made that move, Jim Day said something super interesting where Tito's not in the business to make players look bad. He's not going to put Noelvi and Marte in a situation that he doesn't feel comfortable in. He's not going to put Noelvi Marte in, to look silly out there. So I like that he's out there. I think he's probably the best right fielder they've had since Jay Bruce probably.
I mean, I don't know. Scott Schebler played it. I don't know. You're right. He's got a better arm out there than Will Benson. Mm-hmm. He's got a better arm out there than Jake Fraley. So I'm happy with it. And obviously, so I want to talk about this trade deadline. Let's revisit it a little bit. The idea, and we're rooting for the Braves as we record this on Wednesday night. They got a late start.
Far behind.
Yeah, I know. But the Reds are still trying to catch the Mets, whom the Braves are playing. But the trade line revisited. First of all, I think I owe an apology to Nick Krall. And it's not probably because what you think. Nick Krall literally said that Andujar was a middle of the lineup bat, and we all laughed. And I'm here to tell you, he went 2 for 4 with a grand slam in Wednesday night's game to essentially put away the Phillies. He's got an 819 OPS on the season. and his last 15 games, how about a 900 slugging percentage?
The best
Last
bat in the lineup.
That's last 7 games. I'm sorry, last 15 games. It's only 778 slugging percentage. Um, yeah, he's true to what we heard that he could hit lefties, but they're going to ride him as long as he can against anybody. And here's a guy that almost won the Rookie of the Year. It's not as if he's just some guy that can't play. It was the more curious of the 3 moves. I think you'd agree with that, because even though you had to move around some chess pieces to accomplish what Nick Krall wanted to accomplish, when he got Hayes, Ke'Bryan Hayes, and he got Littell, those moves obviously proved that, hey, we moved a guy to the outfield, so that helps our outfield. And hey, we were going to plan on moving Nick Martinez to the bullpen. That helps our bullpen. Those kind of like, okay, I can follow along with you there. But the Andujar, I was kind of like, I don't even understand. Like, he's just out there in Siberia, in Sacramento, and I don't even know how his numbers would translate. I didn't know anything about whether, and again, I profess to having not really watched him play before. And
Sure.
Skylar, he's killing the ball.
Here's the thing. A lot of people questioned either the move. I think friend of the show on our Slack channel, Joe Farsing, put like, this is a guy that was twice DFA'd, like barely hanging into the league. You see guys that just find a place where they fit, and that's the Reds. That's Cincinnati for Miguel Andujar. I mean, we saw Brent Rooker be DFA'd and turn into a 2-time All-Star, the best player on the Athletics. We see guys do that all the time. So I think Andujar just is a perfect fit. I think this is just the team, the city, the manager to just like absolutely get the best out of this guy. I'm so thankful that he's a Red, because man, is it fun to watch him up on the plate. Even it seems like there are a couple games where, the first game of the series and in the last series against the Pirates, where the Reds offense really couldn't get anything going, but Miguel Andujar was hitting doubles into the gap. His hitting did not slow down, even if the rest of the Reds couldn't catch up, and just seeing him hit tanks. I mean, he hit one out to the Concord out in PNC, the Grand Slam tonight. I mean, woof.
Well, and it comes at a good time too, because Austin Hayes had been struggling quite mightily. And he was that one right-handed bat that we thought was protecting Ellie earlier in the season when he was healthy, and it just wasn't going all that well. We're going to have a viewer mail question later, but I want to revisit, because leading up to the trade deadline, you were with me the week before on this show, and one of the questions we got was about whether they would move Stewart and I'm blanking now on the outfielder in AAA. I've got his numbers right here. Whether the Red Hector Rodriguez, whether they would move them up. And the answer for me at the time was, listen, we got to wait and see what they do at the trade deadline. You could see an Aquino type situation where they didn't add anything, so now they will bring these guys up. I didn't expect, and I want to talk to you about this because, like I said, we did this together. I just didn't expect them to bring in a guy like Ke'Bryan Hayes, who is locked up through the decade.
Yeah.
And you've got your top hitting prospect. I believe I think he's the number 2 overall prospect in the system right now, Sal Stewart, playing third base every day, pretty much at that point. He was playing some second base, which was odd. I guess where are you on that idea of they must value defense so much right now, and they thought that would help more than the Sal Stewart era starting as early as September, maybe in 2026.
So they definitely needed something, because we saw Marte wasn't, the bat was great, but the defense wasn't. And then kind of the opposite problem with Espinal, where the defense is decent, but the bat is, I keep calling him the Cottonelle King, because everything is soft contact. The Look, I love this move. Because the Pirates have paid the most expensive part of the
That's true.
contract. They've front loaded a lot
That's
of the
weird.
money, so
Yeah,
it's a de-escalating contract to the end of it. Um, and we for the reasons that I've brought up about people like O'Neill Cruz or um, Luis Robert, where yeah, the numbers aren't great, but the situation that they're in, the team that they're in, also aren't great. I mean,
mhm.
these teams didn't have player developments. They have rotating front office, rotating managers. So the fact that they're able to kind of stick in the league must show something. Get them out of those bad situations, put them in a good situation with a team trying for something, a Hall of Fame manager, a team with a hitting approach, with a and watch him flourish. And that's all Hayes has done. I mean, he's really been great, not just defensively, but even at the plate. Like he's not taking bad at bats.
No, he's not. And I think as a whole too. And look, the Reds aren't. It's not as if the Reds are the Palace, and like the Reds are not the Yankees of the early aughts, where it's like we're going to bring you in and you're going to get away from your bad situation you had at Pittsburgh, and you're going to come in and you're just going to be re-energized. It's not as if
Hmm.
long term the Reds have been so much better. They've been incrementally better than the Pirates long term, I would say. But what I will say is they're in a race this year, and
Yeah.
I think Andujar and Hayes. I feel like your point earlier on Tito being great for Andujar. I just think overall the extra bounce in your step, when you walk into the ballpark, all those things that people might poo poo, but I think really do matter.
Yeah.
It's there for this year's Reds, and really, I think as long as Tito is the manager, it's there because
I
people are going to
mean,
buy into what he's selling.
to look at your own jobs, like, are you very happy if you're just kind of have to get in every day? It doesn't mean anything. The work doesn't mean anything. You have a terrible boss. Like, how long do you enjoy being there? How much do you have to like force yourself to get to that office? Probably a lot. Versus a company with a direction, a good boss. Like that's what these guys are dealing with. Like Chicago and Pittsburgh are in those bad, poorly ran companies that have no direction, no management, anything like that. So it's not so much that the Reds are this, golden lighthouse, but they're better than those situations for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, so no doubt about that. That's where we are. So the crazy thing to me, though, at the end of the day, is that South Stewart, not that he's still AAA because he's only played 22 games down there, so it's not as if he's wilting there on the vine. But they're going to have to reinvent basically where he's going to play, and it tells me that if he comes up in September, he'll basically just be an off the bench bat or maybe a DH bat. He's not playing. I mean, it's funny. Like it's hilarious to me that Hayes will come in now on a day when he didn't start to kind of be there instead of Espinal, when Espinal used to be the defensive replacement. So, um, but they're not bringing Stewart in to play long, meaningful defensive innings. He's gonna have to learn to play another position, which we'll spend all next spring training talking about whether Spencer Steer needs to move back to the outfield so that Sal Stewart can be your starting first baseman. That's a story for another day. But between he and Rodriguez, they are still in AAA right now. The Reds play a key series this weekend. They are going to be at home, which is nice. The off day on Friday or Thursday is huge when you can
Yeah,
stay home. I there's 100. I think there's 179 days in a major league season. At one point, there was only 17 off days, and that included the All Star break. I think it's maybe gone up to 19 now. Um, that idea that you get an off day while you get to stay home is pretty rare. So that's going to
very
be
rare.
huge. They're going to have the pitching mostly rested, I would say, right? And then Friday night, 6:40 p.m., they're going to play Milwaukee in a series that doesn't really mean they can catch the Brewers. Obviously, I don't think so. The Brewers have been super hot, right? And you hope they can just at least take two and send them packing. I don't know. What are your thoughts heading into this weekend as they try to at least catch that last wild card spot, or maybe even catch the Cubs?
This, I know this might not make sense, but doesn't it feel like this series could either the Reds could be a team that just sweeps the Brewers? Like they play so well against great teams and great competition. Like it just feels like this weekend is about to be a sweep either way. Either
Mm,
the Brewers are gonna just shut out the Reds' playoff hopes because they're the Brewers and we've seen stuff like that happen.
yeah.
Or you go completely the other way and the Reds could sweep, take the best team in baseball out. Like it feels I don't know how to explain it other than that. Like this just
That's
it
your feeling,
feels
huh?
like that.
Either way, it's going to be a sweep. Well, the Reds have still never been swept, so I, I'm
Got that
working
going
on
for
a
us.
I'm working on a plan to have some sort of movie poster made up of Ellie in the place of Drew Barrymore on the Never Been Kissed movie
Yeah,
poster.
yeah,
Never been swept. AI's helping me out. We're going to work through that. Um, I can remember different times over history where that series, it doesn't have to come in mid to late September. The series that makes or breaks your season could come this early.
yeah. Mhm.
And I can remember back in 1992, the Reds won the World Series in 90. They had injuries up and down the roster in 91. And then in 92, they were a very good ball club. And they came up against the Braves in a key series at Riverfront Stadium. And I believe the Braves either took two or all three. And it basically signaled the end. That was it for the
Mhm.
Reds. And they kind of went off. They limped off and didn't do anything the rest of the year. I can remember the Cardinals back in '06. The Reds were in a good position after they, for some reason, made that awful Gary Majewski trade. But they ended up losing to the Cardinals, and Cardinals only won 83 games that year, but the Cardinals won the World Series. And then I remember in 2010, remember the Brandon Phillips brawl?
Yeah.
The Reds actually lost that series, and you thought they're done. And yet they bounced back immediately following that, and they won, I believe, 7 games in a row. So these kind of things can matter, and this weekend series against Milwaukee will be key. Nick Martinez gets the first start, so that's going to be huge to see Nick out there again. So I don't know. I hope they don't get swept because I want to say that they didn't get swept all year. I think it's gonna be hilarious when they win 83 games and they never got swept. That's going to be so hard to do, but it could happen. Hey, do you feel like some viewer mail?
Yes, before we get to viewer mail, I know we're chasing the Mets. If you look at the Mets schedule, it's just as brutal as the
Mm,
Reds. I mean, just kick off September, it's Detroit, the Reds, Phillies, Texas, San Diego. Those are 5 playoff teams, including ourselves. So I mean, they have just as equally as brutal of a schedule. The game right now doesn't show it, but they're playing. They also have 2 series against the Braves, and we've seen that Braves team is loaded with talent. They're just having a very down
well, it's
year.
their pitching staff. Yeah, I mean their
Right.
starting staff is decimated. So we saw Spencer Strider. He was out early, but now he's the only guy that they thought going into spring training that would be in their 5 that's still there.
Hmm.
So
Right.
yeah, they, but they could play spoiler, and that's a division between Braves, Mets, and Phillies that they don't like each other. So
Not even a little bit.
that could come back to help the Reds possibly in the long run. Um, yeah, that Padres, the statement that their ownership made, and giving away 7, I think, of their top 15 prospects
Yeah.
and bringing in reinforcements, and now they've topped the Dodgers. I mean, that's far from over, but still, for them to be basically what they went into the 3-game series before the trading deadline. I think the Reds were only a game behind them,
Yep.
and now they're leading the NL West. That is insane.
It's
So
crazy.
yeah, but again, I'm not sitting here. The only thing I worry about is the NL Central matchups because there's so many of
Hmm.
those left, and the Reds just don't play well against the NL Central for some reason. But I'm not worried anymore about how hard the schedule is because it feels like
Hmm.
these guys play better against better teams.
I completely agree.
Yeah. So hopefully the Mets play worse against better teams. But it is what it is there. We'll have to see. And the Cubs, Michael Wilbon of ESPN fame is a huge Cubs fan, and he tried to say the Cubs were the only team in baseball never to have been swept all year. And I was mowing my grass listening to a podcast when he said that, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" I think they have been swept, and also the Reds have not been swept. So he's
That's a good point.
not knowing what he's talking about yet again. Well, we've got the viewer mail segment, actual letters from actual viewers. And that was so much funnier when Chad did it when there was no video component to the show. Anyway, Rex Scott says, "Who are the most likely call-ups from AAA between now and the end of the season, and how does our record affect those decisions?" He goes on to say, "Should Burns be moved to the back of the bullpen?" Yeah, I know that's two questions. Chad would be appalled. Yes, Chad never liked the two questions. I'm going to allow it, though. We've talked about it a little bit. I'm still going to stay with Stewart and Rodriguez as far as position players. You're going to see the possibility of Benson and Hines coming back up. I think we've seen the last of CES this year, unfortunately. Unfortunately, because it just didn't pan out. I don't think I need to see him. In limited time, though, in AAA, Stewart's hitting .313 with a .383 on base. That'll get it done.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he's got a .614 slug. He's doing a great job. So I would look at that idea of those guys to help the offense if needed. Since the Connor Joe exile to Louisville, I'm not as. I mean, the offense sometimes lays an egg. We've acknowledged that it happened. You're right, in the Pittsburgh series, it happened first game of the Phillies series. I'm not as worried about the bats though. Overall, are you? I mean, what would you do? They're not going to. I mean, and actually, I think Espinal, the role Espinal finds himself in right now, is the role we talked about how he could do well. And when you notice, he never is going to hit for power. I'm sorry, he's just not. But
Cottonelle King.
But when you notice his batting average going above 250, that means there's been time that he's been more of a utility guy. When you saw it go down around 235, that was when he was playing every day.
Yeah.
So I'm perfectly happy with where he is right now. They're not playing Fraley much at this point. But they're not going to DFA Fraley. He's a veteran bat, like he could still give you something here or there. And for really the week after the All-Star break, he was the best hitter, even though he didn't even play every game. But I guess, where are you on that? I guess unless there's an injury, I don't see them really making any moves, except for you can add a few. You don't go to 40-man roster in September anymore, but you can add a few bats come September just because.
Yeah, I think the teams typically go pitching, give long season, give your guys a rest, have somebody come up and get innings. So you look at like a Chase Petty coming out to get a better cup of coffee in September or something like that. They might try to snake or thread the needle. It depends on where Rhett Lauder is. They might, if Rhett Lauder's ready to
down. They shut him down.
Did they? I didn't see that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say they might snake him in and then let Chase Burns be the extra guy, and then when the playoffs come, Chase Burns isn't on that roster.
No, unfortunately, and I didn't think he would come back anyway, given the injury that he had. But it's just they kind of left it out there as if it's possible, and then it was about 4 or 5 days ago that word came out. But to answer his question about Burns being in the back of the bullpen, I think Tito trusts his guys right now. So unless one or more of those guys has a massive 5-6 appearance, egg lay, I don't think he's going to do anything different at the very end of the bullpen. But I honestly could see, like I was talking about earlier, him being pivotal in that middle swing area of games when you have to have them. And because you've known all year which guys are hey, we're losing your pitching. Hey, we're winning your pitching. and then some of those guys straddle the, hey, we're tied. Let's like, because I think
Hmm.
for a while there, Barlow was not coming in if the Reds were winning as often, but now he has. If a starter can't go past 6, but Taylor Rogers, that's all you need to do is look at the meaningful appearances or lack thereof, and know that he was not going to be. Although he's pitched pretty well for the Cubs, I've seen him out there against the Reds. The Reds, like the idea, hey, he can't throw strikes, and yet you swung at everything. Come on, guys. Uh, no, I just don't see Chase Burns being the very back of the bullpen, but I think he will go in the bullpen and pitch.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Kyle Kapler. I think the trade acquisitions have contributed some in their own ways. Andujar has been the best so far, in my opinion. I hope they keep an eye open for August waiver claims, specifically in the bullpen. All right. Obvious question is what to do with Salvatore. I think he's a September call up and fill in at third, second, and now potentially first. Also, thoughts on McLean. Boy, Salvatore. As I read that, I had to try to understand who we're talking about.
So did I.
I'm glad I'm not the only one, but we're talking about Sal Stewart. And they announced a few days ago that they would be filling him in at first base some. And that to me, even though Steer seems to be the guy there, especially with his defense, that to me is the only place defensively that Sal Stewart will play this year for the Reds. Because I think they've proven they want defense. They want defense so badly that they batted Espinal in key situations in games. And then now they've got Hayes. They traded for a guy in Hayes who numbers when they acquired him showed that the Reds offense got worse. Like that's what it looked like when they first acquired him. It hasn't necessarily proven out that way. I think he's hit the ball pretty hard and done okay. Thoughts on McLean? McLean's been in a down stretch these last week or two. I still ride with them. I would caution that he didn't play a full season in 23, didn't play at all in 24, and it's getting to be dog days right now. I think that's where I am with McLean. I'm still riding with him. He still plays good defense.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I can see some second if you have McLean slumping and you need somebody there. Granted, they have 2 other second basemen in Lux
Gavin Lux,
and
we haven't even talked about him.
and I get Espinal played second today. But if McLean's still slumping and you want to give him some breaks and some space, I think there's an opportunity there for Sal Stewart. Like you mentioned, they kind of they're running him at first base right now, which is great because I think your only backup there is Andujar if Steer can't play first. So I like the idea of first. I like the idea of second. Let's see what he can do, man. I mean, he's tearing the cover off the ball in AAA. I feel like every time I go on X, it's him doing something great.
He hasn't cooled off at all. Sal Stewart is, I guess he's one of those guys that just proves people wrong. And it kind of reminds me a little bit, and I think he's more, I think he's going to hit a little more for average than this guy, but Todd Frazier was like that.
Yeah.
Todd Frazier came from Rutgers. He gets, drafted. He's in the system. And especially with rolling at third, they just didn't think they would ever use him. And he might just be a utility guy here, there, and everywhere. And then he ends up hitting 35-plus home runs multiple times and making all-star games and winning home run derbies in front of the home fans. I don't know if that's the future for Sal Stewart. I think maybe he's a little better hitter overall than Frazier was, but we will have to see. Hey, friend of the show, longtime Riverfront guy, Tim Daniel chimes in. He says, watching Key Brian Hayes play third base daily has become a joy of mine. I'm also impressed with his contact rate being so high, having just 2 strikeouts in his 12 games with the team. Although his OPS doesn't look great at the moment, I feel like if the Reds can get him to put some lift on the ball, he could be a viable option at the bottom of the order offensively. His hard hit rate is really impressive for a guy who has squared up percentage is among the best in baseball, so it feels like the hits will come. I agree. I
Was there a question in there?
There was not, but I did ask in the viewer mail. I put out a call for viewer mail, and I asked people to chime in on what they think of the trades. I find it funny. People laughed. Chad made the tweet about moving a guy a different position midseason. Trading for a guy who's a veteran and thinking you can change, like George Costanza getting in the cage with him or something and tell him to hit the ball in the air more. Like, that just seems so funny to me, unless there's something they saw on video, Skylar, that they thought, you know what, we can have a chat with him and show him what we see. Like, don't you think that's the only way that works? Like, it doesn't work if you get a guy and you say, hey, you're a major league veteran who signed a long-term contract. Come over here. Let's talk about how you swing the bat. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Hey, Aaron Judge, no more home runs, just singles. Like, that's
those are rally killers.
Okay. No, I agree. They obviously saw something in playing against him all these years that, hey, we can do something here. And if Pittsburgh's not smart enough to figure it out, we definitely can. And
right,
he plays exactly into Valleca's hitting approach, like hard hit, barrel, like just it doesn't. You don't have to swing for the fence. We can kill him death by 1,000 paper cuts, and that feels like Hayes fits in that scheme, fits in that window of like just get it out through or over the infield. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Brandon Kamick chimes in with a again, not a question, but I did ask for these thoughts. I am so impressed with this one, and it proves that Brandon listens to this show, because Chris Garber and I talked, maybe even the night of the trade deadline, about how these Reds never go out and sign a guy that's, hey, this guy is our DH. You know what I mean? Like, maybe not 162 times a year, but a guy that specifically fits that role. Brandon Kamick says Andujar could be the DH bat we've asked for if he can keep up this current pace. Well, I can't expect him to keep up the complete current pace. I think it's 3 home runs in his last 4 games. Plus, he just killed the ball completely before that even. But yeah, I mean, he'll play a little outfield, right? And you mentioned he could play first base. I guess he did come up as an infielder, but
yeah, I mean, he's a cheaper option than Kyle Schwarber, which everybody's been floating out there, and no chance of that happening because he's going to get $30 million a year. But yeah, look, like I said, there's how many times have we seen guys kind of float around the league and then they find one team and just take off? Brent Rooker is like the most current example I have, where kind of just floated around and then just bam. Josh Hamilton, Scooter Gennett, like these are guys that just like found a home somewhere and were able to really produce. I think, and Cincinnati could be that for Andujar.
Oh yeah, but hey, think about this though. Kyle Schwarber playing for Tito. I mean, I'm not even allowing myself to think that they'll come close to signing him. I agree with you completely on the expense and how they'll never do it unless Castellini just really likes Middletown, Ohio. I don't know, but maybe he's got some grocery warehouses up by 75. But like, he just seems like Mike Napoli 2.0 in some ways, and he was great. He's on the staff now. Like, he was so good with Tito. Tito I just think would gravitate toward a guy like Schwarber. Let's make it happen. Let's just go ahead. Yeah.
He's going to have to take a mighty hometown discount.
Yeah, right. You could hear, I think Sadak tried to bait Larkin the other night, and Larkin just kind of through gritted teeth. Well, he's probably going to make a lot of money. I mean, like, okay. Yeah, let's see. All right. Joey Goditza came in twice because of the question originally was asked before the game on Wednesday. He says from his palatial estate up in Canada, is Ellie ever going to get a day off? He wants to be the best, though. I respect that. Even he does go through rough stretches. Does he look kind of lost at the plate right now? And he says, maybe I should retract my question, Seth Shaner. Ha ha. Well, he went 2 for 4 tonight, Joey. Got it done, didn't he? Yeah, it's funny to me though. Like, remember, it was Sunday that the Reds, all of them hit, and then tonight the Wednesday night game, very similar. And then they go through those games where they don't score at all. Like it's just like that's what's most maddening about this team.
Yeah, I think Ellie a lot like Cal Ripken. Like he just wants to play every day. Like let him be the Iron Man, and that he says every year. And granted, everybody says this. I want to play 162. I genuinely think Ellie just likes to play. And yeah, he'll go up and down, but everything about this year has been up. Like his batting average up, strikeouts down, OPS plus is up to a 120. Stolen bases down, but caught stealing way down. Like even if he muddled up and down through the year, he still had an all-star caliber face of the league year.
Absolutely. And actually, I got a new card in the mail today.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, I like that one. I tell you, it's his last 15 games are not good. There's no sugarcoating it. But his last 30 games, even with those 15 games in there, are great. So, he's hovered between that 275, 285 batting average throughout the year. And that's not everything. We get that. But all his numbers are the numbers you want to go up are going up, and the numbers you want to come down as far as like strikeout totals and percentage and things like that. I'm not going to be upset with Elliott anytime. And I think he's able to work through some of these things. And, his stated goal is to play 162. He even did so with Mother Nature helping out a little bit when his sister's funeral. He left, but he came back and played in the resumption of the game the night he came back. So I'm not going to be upset if he plays 162. He's still very young. There's the good news isn't it 5 straight Thursdays, Skylar, they have off?
Yeah, that's
so
key in this
having
run.
a day off every week, whereas sometimes you could go 12 straight days or more playing baseball games. I think that's going to be huge for the staff, the pitching staff, but also for guys like Ellie.
Absolutely. And like you said, you're gonna have off home days like that. That's really nice for these guys to catch their breath, regrip, ground themselves, to really get it done here in the last couple of series. And as I mentioned on Late Night Reds, the Reds are going to have to earn this playoff spot. I mean, they're going to have to win out a lot of these series.
Oh yeah, this is not 1990 where they kind of limp down the stretch, but they still finish in first place. They are the hunter right now, and they cannot slack. Never been swept as a thing right now, still, but it's going to take more than 1 out of 3 a lot of these series down the stretch. So, absolutely, we're so excited to be able to bring you information about this Reds team. And listen, man, they've gotten us through to this point, and they're going to keep getting us through a much more entertaining season than we've had. 2023 was very exciting with all the young guys, but it's been a solid roller coaster ride of a season that still has us tuning in every night, and I hope all of you folks out there are as well. You got anything else to add? What you and Ben will be together, I think, on Sunday night, Late Night Reds.
Yep, 9:00 Eastern, both live on this YouTube channel and on Facebook and Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And then the audio version releases shortly after that. Can't agree. This has been a fun Red season. I hope they make the playoffs. If they don't, it's still better than that's been my theme the whole season. Is the alternative is the David Bell years.
Oh yeah,
we didn't like
absolutely.
those either.
No, that's true, and we're sticking through it thick or thin. It's been pretty good so far, and I look forward to sharing more laughs on the Slack channel. You can be a part of the Slack channel by joining our Patreon group, patreon.com/riverfrontcincy. I'm happy to let you into the Slack if you join. So do that and then send me a note and let me know that you'd like me to give you the Slack sign in. Yes, Skylar.
The update on the Mets game. The Braves hit a grand slam. The Mets are up, or the Braves are up 9-6.
See, you didn't think it was possible. We gave them.
They were struggling.
Yeah, they were struggling. Okay. We'll get off here and watch the rest of that game. Again, patreon.com/Riverfront Cincy. We've also got the what is it? The ticket. You do so much better than I do at letting people know that they can get their tickets for cheaper through SeatGeek. What's the
Yeah.
promotion?
So if anybody's going down to the game, any games, use our code Riverfront and get $20 off your first purchase through SeatGeek. That's basically the price of tickets right now. So go ahead and get tickets on us using our code Riverfront to get $20 off your first purchase through SeatGeek.
And I want to thank folks. That's being used some, Skylar. This has been great to see people using that, getting a little bit off of their ticket. We get a little bit of a kickback from SeatGeek when that happens. Keeps the lights on with our video capabilities and things like that. So that's been great as well. Go ahead and tell a friend about the show. As Nate Dotson used to say, smash the thumbs up button to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's up recently, Skylar. We've got some extra viewers and listeners. This has been pretty good. We've been at it basically since the end of March, running this ship, and I honestly feel like it's exceeded my expectations. I was a little concerned. The Dotsons hadn't been on much at one point, but then they officially stepped away. But Tim Daniel left us at that same time to go over to that other place. And the Locked On Network, catch him after every game. He does a great job with the post-game show. But man, Skylar, you're doing a great job on Sundays. Riverfront Reds Show continues to stay afloat. Welcome to the jungle. We'll be shifting a little bit as the season starts. I think the plan will be to go day after games. So if they play on Sunday, they should record on Monday and so forth. Caroline is doing a great job along with Owen Timmerdine, Caroline Palmer. They're doing so well. So tune into that.
Very good show.
It's a very informative show. Sometimes they ask me to bring down the IQ and make an appearance, and I do so. And it's been fun. So again, thanks so much out there, Riverfront family. Thanks to all the Slackers out there. Stay on the Slack channel throughout. And so long, everybody. Have a good off day. And then let's take down that Brew Crew.